Good day, Dr. Sheila. My name is Ilya Elinara Walter, and in this video, we are going to present our project paper titled Impact of Economic Upturn Towards Income Equality in Malaysia. Our group member consists of 5 members, which is Chong Cheng Hong, me, Umar Zakwan bin Abdul Hadi, Muhammad Shahir Imran bin Yahya, and Nur Naziha Tauhidah. First of all, I will present the introduction. Firstly, background of the study. The problem of income disparity has never been resolved globally. Every economy in the global was affected. The poor has been the ones who have suffered the most. Income inequality is the most well-known indicator of economic inequality. Global economic growth imbalance among the population is a result of income distribution. This distribution of wealth in the economy is also influenced by regional factors. Next, statement of the research problem. This research tried to investigate which income inequality may affect the economic upturn in Malaysia. Next is objective of the study. This paper aimed to identify the trend change on the income inequality in Malaysia from 1990 to 2020 by using a time series estimation model (ARDL). Factors that may influence the relationship between economic growth and income equality is Gini coefficient, GDP, FDI, and INF. This paper used a longer time series data consists of 30 years of observation. And lastly, significance of the study. The findings of this study will benefit society. Developing entrepreneur skills or allowing them to participate in productivity activity and earn high wages. A new theory of the influence of Malaysia economic recovery on income equality has emerged.
Literature review. This research examines how Malaysia's economic recovery has impacted the country's widening socio-economic disparity. We choose a time series of yearly data from 1990 to 2020 with a sample length of 30 years. Two distinct threads emerge after a thorough assessment of the study's results. In the first trend, financial development has been shown to increase the income equality. In the second, it has been shown to increase the income disparities. In this research, there are 3 methods that are used. Firstly, we use the ARDL, secondly, the unit root test, and lastly, the descriptive statistics. For the theoretical review, firstly, the economic upturn and Gini coefficient. The Gini coefficient is a statistic that may be used to determine the degree of income inequality within the population. Where the Gini index is higher, the disparity in wealth that exists between the wealthiest and the poorest people is seen to be much more obvious. A higher Gini coefficient still indicates a greater degree of inequality. Even if one of the gainers earns more than the average, it can be concluded that the economic upturn are influenced by the economic Gini coefficient. Secondly, the economic upturn and foreign direct investment. In theory, FDI is all about the accumulation of capital as well as the incorporation of new inputs and technology from other countries into production function of the host country. To begin, there has been a focus on the connection between FDI and the human capital. Investment from outside the nation is far more important to economic development than investment from inside the country. And lastly, the economic upturn and inflation. Most economists agree that there are 3 primary factors that contribute to inflation, that is, increase in the unit labor cost, an increase in the cost of imported intermediate inputs, and long-term shortages of productive resources in general. There is a possibility that the institutional qualities that explain various development routes will influence the performance and volatility of the macroeconomy. These facets together with the uniqueness of the organization and its history, are among the things that must be considered. Thus, the hypothesis for this research is the Gini coefficient has a negative relationship on the economic upturn. Second, foreign direct investment has a positive relationship on the economic upturn. And lastly, inflation has a positive relationship on the economic upturn.
Hi, my name is Naziha, and I'll be continuing on methodology. In this paper, we have gathered data for 30 years, starting from 1990 to 2020 from World Development Indicator, WDI. In this paper, we explain the theory on impact of economic upturn towards income inequality in Malaysia. However, we have gathered a total of 5 methods, starting with model specification, where in this multiple linear equation, it consists of y, Gini coefficient, x1, real income per capita, x2, foreign direct investment net inflow, while x3, consumer price index, followed by error and intercept. On the second method, which is method estimation, this method is considered suitable because it has most economic variables reflect its past behavior, which should be seen as dynamic volatility and auto-regressive process. So in this model, Gini coefficient, income GDP, foreign direct investment, and consumer price index is taken into account. Next is robustness check, or known as stability test, where the unit root test was tested by using ADF and PP. Stated that if the variables are significant at 5% level, then it is stationary for all variables. Following on to estimation strategy, where the unit root test was tested in the study to overcome the false correlation problem caused by non-stationary time series data by examining the time series characteristic of the selected variables. Last method used in this methodology was data description, where data was gathered from a variety of sources. The Economic Forum measures income inequality, which is derived from yearly statistical bulletins. That is all from me. Thank you.
These are our empirical findings. 4.1 shows our descriptive statistics. It consists of 4 variables: Gini, GDP, FDI, and INF, with a total observation of 31, and the highest value, mean value, was GDP, recorded at 6,709.97, and the lowest mean value was FDI, recorded at 3.98. The highest standard error and the standard deviation was still the GDP variable, and the lowest was the FDI variable. 4.2 shows our correlation metrics, where the Gini and the GDP shows a negative relationship, and the FDI and the GDP shows negative relationship as well. However, shows a positive relationship while comparing to the Gini index, relating to the Gini index. And INF shows a negative relationship to the Gini variables, but showing a positive relationship to the GDP variable. So based on the result, it was in line with the literature review in our previous study. However, the FDI and the GDP or the Gini was not in line with the previous study, or the literature review referred on other article. So based on our VIF, it shows 9.82, which is less than 10. It shows it is still acceptable, and indicates that the multi-correlation issue does not exist. And the table 3 of 4.3 shows unit root test results using augmented Dickey-Fuller method and the Philip-Perrins methods. So based on the table, at all the variables at the level was insignificant, except for FDI was significant at 5% level at constant with trend using Philip Barron's method. At the first difference, all the variables were significant at 10% level and 5%, except for the Gini at the first difference. At constant with trend, it was not significant at 5% level, hence we use a stronger and a better method to run the test, and the result shows all the variables are significant at constant without trend and constant with trend in first difference. Hence we reject the null hypothesis and conclude that all the variables are stationary and ready to proceed for the ARDL test. So 4.4 shows the ARDL test results, and the table 4 is the result of the bound test used to test the long run relationship. So based on the table, it shows the long run relationship exists for all the variables because the F statistics shows 9.6187, which is significant at 5% level because it's more than 3.67 at the upper bound value. And based on the table 5, it shows the short run result. And based on the R square result, it shows that the variables are best fit for the ARDL model because it shows 99.31% after running the test, and the probability also shows 0.000009, which is less than 0.01, and its significance at 1% level. So based on all the variables and the lags, most of the variables are significant at 10% level at lags 4. However, there are 3 variables that still significant at 1% level, which are Gini, GDP, and INF.
Hi, my name is Mohammed Shahi Imran. I would like to present my part, which is conclusion. In conclusion, we have 3 parts, which is the first one is summary of study, policy implication, and lastly, we have limitation and suggestion. In summary of study, we use the autoregressive distributed lag ARDL time series estimation technique to track trends in wealth inequality in Malaysia from 1990 to 2020. Based on the study, we can conclude that the conclusion can be separated into 2 trends, which is the first trend, it is shown that the financial development improved income equality, and the second trend is it is shown that the financial development make income disparity worse. Okay, so for the next part is policy implications. Throughout for our research, the economic upturn would give a negative impact on the Gini index, which is meant to be more equal when the Gini coefficient is lower. Hence, the increase in foreign direct investment will affect income inequality to be more unequal. Therefore, the government should focus more on the nation's economy and inflation to ensure the income inequality is more towards equality in society. Lastly, limitation and suggestion. There are limitations during the research of the impact of economic upturn toward income inequality in Malaysia, whereas the research was done in a short period of time, which is it did not obtain all the information that required for this study. Therefore, in the future, the researchers are suggested to have more complete information and adequate time. Thank you.